Hi, this is Shakira.
And this is Dia,
We're cooking up a great conversation.
starting with a cup of insights,
Add a tablespoon of fun.
a slice of drama,
Drama. A pinch of salt.
para may konting alat, and lots of pepe.
Siyempre, may anghang.
Welcome to
Salt and Pepe Podcast. Hi guys, welcome back to Salt and Pepe Podcast. I am Shakira Season.
Welcome back to Salt and Pepe Podcast. I am Leah. Hello, everyone.
Hello. It is also our anniversary. So happy anniversary, Salt and Pepe Podcast.
Happy anniversary, everyone. Thank you for continuing to listen to us. And wow, it's our anniversary, 1 year already.
We've accomplished so much, and we even are so in tune with each other that we decided to wear the same color outfit today without talking about
Without
it.
talking about it, so nice. I like it.
Right? Happy anniversary. Today is also Valentine's Day when this episode comes out. So happy anniversary. And it's hard to believe that we started 1 year ago, this time last year, when my co-host was going through a very big life change.
Oh, nga, diba? If you listen to our intro, drama.
Right? Ang dami noon this time last year.
Yes, ang daming talagang pinag-usapan, pinag-isipan, and like what we talked about last year is really where we will go, right? And we'll see and have a check-in after a year, diba?
Yeah.
That's it.
Because this time last year, our episode for Valentine's Day was called What is Love? Baby, Don't Hurt Me. So this year, it's going to be What is Love 1 year later?
Wow. And again, because it's Valentine's, happy Valentine's na rin sa lahat. And yes, what is love 1 year later? So,
Ang daming lessons, ano?
sobra. Daming lessons, daming realizations, ang daming ganap.
Ang daming ganap. Yeah.
So, dami rin natin napag-usapan in a year.
Right? And hopefully, it's been educational for everyone, not just for us, kasi ang dami ko ding natutunan from you and from our conversations. So,
Yes.
we decided... What?
We've gained viewers and, I mean, I consider them like our circle of friends na rin. Di ba?
Yeah.
Talking to us and giving their comments and information. So, that's also what I like about this year.
Yeah. So we decided that we would share our lessons about love from this past year. So, Leah, why don't you take it away?
So this year na nga, di ba, what is love? So basically, what I wanted to, a year after, di ba? So I really want to focus on forgiveness now, on having that definition of love. So apart from the commitment and that feeling, there will always be a time then that maybe forgiveness will be part of that definition, because again, you're two different people, right? And things can happen along the way, and if you're also in that commitment, whether you decide to live in or get married and you just said you commit to each other, sometimes there are some disagreements, sometimes there are some betrayals, and there's some, and at that point when you really want to fix something and stay with that commitment, there will be some sort of forgiveness and asking for forgiveness, diba? So,
lang, baka nalilito naman yung mga listener because
Yes.
actually, to be honest, may nagtanong sa akin. Kakilala ko siya, pero privately nagtanong. Tapos parang, wait, nalilito daw. Bakit daw yung past few episodes, merong kang mention of your relationship, of your marriage and your wife when, we started this podcast. when you were going through that breakup. So it doesn't have to go into detail, but just for those who are wondering.
Yes, because actually in the podcast when I mentioned my wife's name, it's because parang I was talking about it in that sense na when my wife does this, ganyan. Syempre siya yung point of reference ko on some of our
Mhm,
topics. Excuse me. So again, what a difference a year makes naman talaga, right? So, kwento lang, the past year, my wife, Karen nga, some of you know her already. If you don't, so my wife's name is Karen. And if you were watching us from the beginning, I informed us that we're no longer together. That's why this came about, Salt and Pepe. And so happy naman to say, or I don't know, happy or confused, a daming emotions, right?
mhm,
So we decided to, my wife came back and decided to fix the marriage. And with that, syempre, ang daming
mhm,
thoughts, diba? Kasi, as I said nga prior, just a minute ago about betrayal of trust, diba? So, things can happen that, of course, yung trust mo naman mawawala, mabibreak,
mhm,
diba?
mhm,
And my thought, marriage is such a beast talaga, na
mhm,
parang it's a different entity. It's not like something you didn't commit to, diba? And she's the person really I want to be for the rest of my life. And with that, she asked for forgiveness. Of course, there's so much processes, diba? Kailangan may
mhm,
proseso pa
mhm,
for that. And with this, with our topic of forgiveness, I'm giving my wife another chance and going through the forgiveness part. But of course, um, if we talk about forgiveness today, there's a lot of things to think about,
mhm,
boundaries, thoughts, 'di ba? Ang daming pag-isipan kasi again, if you forgive, you have to commit to that decision, 'di ba?
mhm,
It's not just oh sige, 'di ba? And if you're still bothered, hindi mo mapapatawad ng fully, 'di ba? But
mhm,
here, I'm giving that chance. Kasi
mhm,
naman, we really had, as I said before, we really had a good marriage. As in, wala talaga ako maisip, diba, why it should be broken. But, yun. So right now, yun, it's about forgiveness and the things I'm learning about forgiveness. Diba?
mhm.
But
It's
that's it.
so it's challenging, isn't it? You know, totoo yung sinasabi mo na marriage is such a beast. I think if you're doing it right, right? Kasi madami kasi nagbabrush off lang ng marriage as like parang baliwala, or some people treat it like it's a piece of paper, wala daw diferensya. But I think if you really hold true to the commitment, I think it will really test you. It will really parang bring you to your knees sometimes. And I think that in order for you to really have this great relationship and maximize the level of intimacy and love between two people, ang daming work that you have to do on yourself also, hindi ba? Like we I feel like we grew up thinking na no, that's pag may issue, it's the other person's problem at ikaw parang you don't even have to do anything, but actually it requires
Ano,
such a huge amount of effort on your part too, because everybody has issues, right? We all make mistakes. We all do things that aren't rational or logical, and we're just like affected by our background, our upbringing, and we make wrong decisions sometimes. But I think what's happy about this, even though it's also a challenging time for you guys, is alam mo yung pagbata ka, yung sinabi nila na if you love someone, set them free. And if they come back again, then it was meant to be. Alam mo yun,
mas lambok
parang,
eh.
di ba? Parang, oy, totoo pala yun. Totoo pala
Yes,
yun, right? And then,
true.
but the thing is, when you're young, pag narinig mo yun, akala mo pag bumalik, happiness na kaagad, di ba? Na parang instant happiness na you don't realize na ang dami palang kailangang ah, pag-isipan at saka ayusin. Right?
Actually nga, I was, of course, looking into the internet for, of course, things, resources for this topic. Ang definition talaga ng forgiveness, parang it involves an intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger. So if you can see, it's talagang intentional
Mm-hmm.
decision.
Mm-hmm.
You really this need to decide na ano, papatawarin mo ba o hindi. If not, then that's not the definition of forgiveness na para sa'yo,
Mm-hmm.
para na lang ganon, diba? So there's that intent talaga to decide to let
Mm-hmm.
go of
Mm-hmm.
the hurt.
Right? So
And
um go ahead. Go ahead.
actually, I had this, I was also browsing. Ang galing ng nakita ko rin, parang there's a lot of misconceptions about forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So it says here, as you consider forgiving someone who has betrayed your trust, parang meron siyang 8 principles to remember.
Oh, wow.
I like this. Sabi niya parang, so if you decide to forgive, it says here, forgiveness, number one, forgiveness is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a feeling or an attitude. So
Mm-hmm.
parang forgiving someone is a mental decision. So
Mm-hmm.
really, you really have to do it. You like think about it, diba? And this is something that you have complete control over.
Mm-hmm.
Tapos number two, forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. So you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to forget the betrayal in order to forgive. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, sometimes as what we talked about already before, Tia said sometimes it's something that it won't disappear, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we, it's just there, diba? Number three, sabi niya, forgiveness doesn't eliminate consequences. So some people are reluctant to extend forgiveness because somehow they think it lets the other person off the hook. Di
Mm-hmm.
ba? Parang pag sinabi, oh sige, patawan, you think in your head, ay, parang babawi, walain na
Mm-hmm.
lang niya, right?
Yeah.
Na ginawa siya sa akin. So sometimes it's so hard to give that forgiveness because of that thought.
Mm-hmm.
Number four, sabi niya, forgiving doesn't make you a weakling or a doormat. So forgiveness shows maturity and depth of character. If you allow repeated violations of your trust, then you're a doormat. But forgiving others while adhering to health boundaries is a sign of strength, not
Mm-hmm.
weakness. Number five, sabi niya, don't forgive just to avoid pain. Yes, as always, hindi mo pa rin siya takasan. Parang, sige, ayoko na, patawarin na lang kita just to
Mm-hmm.
get it over. I don't wanna deal with this
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And thinking if you forgive the other person, you won't get hurt anymore, diba? But you know it's there, diba? You have to acknowledge it talaga. Number six, don't use forgiveness as a weapon. So if you truly forgive someone, you won't use their past behavior as a tool or to harm them whenever you feel the need to get a little revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yun ang my friend, excuse me, advised me rin, sabi niya, if you do forgive, make sure hindi mo gagawin din sa kanya yon, 'di ba? Na
Mm-hmm.
parang, o nga naman, 'di ba? So, number seven, forgiveness isn't dependent on the other person showing remorse. So, it's
Mm-hmm.
really within you, 'di ba?
Mm-hmm.
Parang, ay, ayoko siya patawanan kasi hindi pa siya sobrang sorry, di ganun, 'di ba? So, parang,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, whether or not the person who violated your trust apologizes or shows remorse, the decision to forgive really rests upon you. It's really your control.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, forgiveness is freedom. Holding on to pain and bitterness drains your energy and negatively colors your outlook on life. Granting forgiveness allows you to let go of the negative emotions that you hold back and gives you the ability to move forward with freedom and optimism. So those are the things I read.
Oh, wow. Leah, siyang research girl today.
Yes,
Sabi ko, wow, you really took it away. So that's interesting.
it's
What you
nice.
said, right? And it's good to learn also about that, about forgiveness. Kasi 'di ba, meron kasi minsan pagka someone wrongs us, sometimes their approach is, nagsorry na nga ako eh, tama na. Yung parang ayaw na nilang suffer yung consequence like you said. Right? Yung parang they feel like kung nagsorry na sila, tapos quote-unquote, pinatawad mo na sila, therefore wala ka ng right na magalit. right? And parang
Um,
no harm, no foul pag nag-sorry na yung tao. Para alam ko na nga nagkamali ako, sorry na hindi ko na uulitin. And so, and sometimes the expectation is back to normal and your trust is intact at parang walang nangyari, which is impossible, right? Because the damage was done. There was damage, and if you like insist that everything goes back to normal, parang ina-absolve mo kasi yung sarili mo, and you're trying to like say na you didn't create damage or the person should just already get over it. 'Di ba?
yeah.
Kasi ganun minsan yung treatment eh.
Mga iba. Like, also you, parang feel mo na forgive na, sige, kahit nasasaktan ka pa rin, you think, oh, nag-forgive na ako eh. I should
Hindi mo
not
na.
be really dwelling on it, di ba? But sometimes,
You
you just
carry it. You
let it,
carry it. You carry the anger. You carry the resentment. And it needs to be expressed and also analyzed and talked about kahit na hanggang sawa yan na, like even forever, for years, you should be able to talk about it still. And if you're the person who like wronged someone else, I think you need to carry that burden, or that and and understand that this is part of the healing process, is discussing it kasi even if you go the easy way out na wag na lang nating banggitin and pretend nothing happened, sasabog talaga yan later on because the other person will be carrying that and it's gonna manifest itself in other ways, in resentment especially, right?
true. So with that, do you think, yeah, forgiveness is essential to healing?
No, not at all. I don't even think forgiveness requires the participation of the other person. Eh. Parang I feel like when you make the commitment to heal, it includes moving on or moving past an offense. Figuring out why we're triggered and can't let go, and you try to find new practices to get past it. It's essential to healing, but it doesn't require the participation of the other person, but you don't have to physically like say I forgive you na harap-harapan, but I think you can like commit na, what, for myself I want to move on from this, because it's taking too much like emotional toll on me, so I don't know if you call that forgiveness, whatever your definition is, but I don't think it's essential to have that actual ceremonial, hey, I forgive you. Because sometimes that's not even possible, right? Yung kunyari, mga taong naghahanap ng closure or gusto nila mag-sorry yung isang tao pero hindi naman ever nagso-sorry, that doesn't mean that you don't have a chance to move on. I think that decision is yours. If you decide to forgive or heal or move on, you don't need the other person to actually do anything. It's nice if that
Yeah.
person like really takes accountability and every step of the way, analyzes things with you, heals with you, has these painful conversations with you. That's nice, but it's not essential, so yeah, uh, I'm trying to think like, about forgiving and forgetting, right? It's like, I don't know if we ever really forget,
Yes.
you
Ako rin, I
know?
agree on that, na parang, it's nice to
Mm-hmm.
forget,
Mm-hmm.
but growing up, akala ko, that's it's a tandem, right? Once you forgive, you forget. I realize it's not really forgetting,
Mm-hmm.
but just moving from that. You remember it, but it's up to you if you
Mm-hmm.
really forgive that person
Mm-hmm.
talaga, or you'll resent that person, and
Mm-hmm.
you won't talk to that person anymore because hindi mo talaga siya makakalimutan. Especially if it's depende naman on what, 'di ba? What kind of betrayal happened. That's
Mm-hmm.
what.
I think that's why also it's so important if you're going through that process of fixing something for the party that wronged you to be there every step of the way. It's so hard, pero mas maganda kasi pag nandun eh. So nandun yung may papaliwanag whatever your questions are, whatever you're wondering, because when you go through a huge hurt that's caused by someone, you have so many questions, 'di ba? Kasi hindi naman yan magiging masakit if you didn't love and trust that person. So you need to find out, hopefully, ideally with the other person's help, paano ba nangyari ito? Where was the breakdown? Because it's important to go through this process kasi in order to build something again, paano mo masasabi sa sarili mo na hindi na mangyayari ulit if you don't know where the breakdown happened and what you can do better, diba? So I think so
That's
many lessons, so many lessons.
naman. So right now naman, I'm happy naman to say that I am, for one, the forgiveness part really is on my own pace. And
Mhm,
my partner and my spouse, Karen, understands that. And as you said, she's giving me that room, really
mhm,
big room to ask questions
mhm,
all the time. And being patient on answering kahit pa ulit-ulit,
mhm,
sinasagot pa rin yung mga questions. Kasi it will just come up talaga eh. And
mhm,
so many things that I want to know, understand. But
mhm,
at the end of the day kasi, siguro 9 years kami magkasama. We know
mhm,
each other so well that yung mga decision makings or yung characters, whatever,
mhm,
I know where it's coming from. Hindi ko lang siyempre, there's the why factor, but because I know my wife so well,
mhm,
I do get where she's coming from. I do understand the way she
mhm,
explains things, and that's why I think it's not easier, but because of what we had, parang it's just the time. I know time will just heal everything, and that's
mhm,
all I ask naman is patience eh. But at this point, a dami ko natutunan about forgiveness and also myself. Because if it was me before, lahat yan nakatago. Hindi
mhm,
ako mag-express ng kahit ano.
mhm,
Na parang masakit pa rin pero dahil sinabi kong okay na, hindi ko na ibabalik. Pero
mhm,
now I know I need that for my mental health
mhm.
and for a good healthy relationship, 'di ba? I cannot not express myself. So, dami rin. Ninja skills talaga. You learn it talaga as you grow talaga eh. So, right now, I think it's easier
Mhm.
kasi we're in it together. Siyempre, sometimes iba yung atake niya, iba yung approach ko. So,
Yeah.
it's different, but because we know each other so well, there's that balance and compromise pa rin at the end of the day.
Isn't it such a it's so hard, and even the best of us and the best relationships go through this. And it's such a unique opportunity, actually, especially if you're trying to do this right. To let, your partner express their anger and disappointment, and to just hear it, and have these conversations. I feel like it's groundbreaking for our generation, because I don't even think that, older generations went through that. Parang bahala na kung magalit ka later on, parang, just express it in some other unproductive and harmful way, or taking it out on something else, right? So taking this time, I think, is really a valuable opportunity, right? Do you feel that way, kahit na I know mahirap, but slowly but surely, but I can see the effort also, and I think the the upside, I mean the benefits, is they're gonna outweigh, the
But
difficulty in the long
yeah.
run, because now you can also see bakit nga ba, why are you even working on it, because you can see that it's worth working on, 'di ba?
So
Alam
that's the
mo na
bottom.
alam mo that we had something, we still have something, and it's still there. So parang gusto mo lang malaman na kaya pa ba, because sayang din kung may chance, 'di ba, na ayusin. So it really requires, the best
Yeah.
effort, and sakit siya, 'di
Masakit,
ba?
mahirap. And because of course your friends are really backing you up, 'di ba? And they want the best for you. Of course, you will have a lot of their thoughts, sharing their
Yeah.
thoughts,
Mhm.
'di ba?
Mhm.
And they want the best for you. Syempre mapapaisip ka rin, 'di ba?
Mhm.
But again, yes, there it is worth. I've thought about it. It's worth it naman to give it another chance then.
All right. I mean, for me, I think t- I need to know personally if I've given it everything.
Yun din ako eh.
Because ayokong masabi in the end na paano kaya if I did it differently, meron pa kaya akong magagawa or na dapat nabigay ko na hindi ko ginawa because I was holding back. So, for me personally, not everybody operates this way. Some people, they leave some and they just like, parang approach it at arm's length and they don't really want to give everything. But siguro para sa akin kasi when I end relationships, of course, it always hurts, but it hurts a little less when you know na ginawa mo na lahat. Wala ka ng ibang magagawa, binigay mo na lahat dito sa taong to. So, unless you're really, really done, it's hard to walk away kung alam mong you could have done something better. If you could have been a better partner.
True. Tsaka hindi naman chronic behavior yun ng asawa ko eh. Parang it was maybe just that one mistake. So let's see. One and done, di ba? If it happens again, then that's it. That's why nga, di ba? Sabi, asking for another chance. I didn't say one chance kasi pwede pang two chance, di ba? It's just another chance. And if that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work, then at least I know I gave that other
And you
chance.
tried.
Naman,
And
kasi naman
how
eh.
valuable is this experience? And our listeners are actually walking with us while you go through this in a span of a year, right? Because nung umpisa, like 1 year ago, every time na sad ka sa episode, or if you're like crying or your voice shakes, yung mga kakilala ko na listener, parang grabe, hindi ko parang parang nanginginig sila for you. Talagang nararamdaman nila yung pain mo, yung sadness mo and everything, right? And then to see the whole year go by and slowly you're getting a little bit better. And then now to actually have like, a little bit of a view into what you're going through and that you can actually see it positively despite the work that it entails.
Ano talaga siya eh, parang time talaga, 'di ba? And of course, really giving that time for yourself. Kaya nga I went to the Philippines, 'di ba? Na
Mhm.
parang I really need that me time.
Mhm.
Because nga, as I said the last time, 'di ba, parang I didn't feel that I wasn't the marriage was not chosen. So I wanted to choose myself and just have this break. So yun, tama naman that you really have to have that time for yourself to really, really think about it. Kasi
Mhm.
ako, I thought I was just gonna move on na eh, 'di ba? And then,
Mhm.
she came back and asked for forgiveness. So parang, 'di ba, parang now I felt it was the ball was on my court na parang, should I, kasi I'm already moving forward eh.
Mhm.
Meron na akong focus, parang slowly but surely with the help of friends. And then this comes again na parang do I want to endure? And you never know naman kasi, di ba? Again, uncertainties, di ba? Change, we've talked about that, di
Mhm.
ba? So parang change na nga dapat and then
Mhm.
babalik ka na naman. So parang uulit ba? But as you said, it's not gonna be the same eh. There's something different already.
Mhm.
And yun, what we're doing right now is actually building new memories. Not really
Mhm.
forgetting the old because that's the foundation eh. That's why
Mhm.
nga okay kami because of the foundation we had before eh. But it's also now building new memories and just moving forward. And hopefully nga yung forgiveness talagang intentional na talagang forgive na kaya. But again,
Mhm.
at the end, you never know pa rin naman eh. 'Di ba?
There's no guarantee of
There's no
anything,
guarantee
no
that was
matter gaano ka ng katagal,
absolutely.
and sometimes people, assume na just because you've been together a long time, like especially for us, right? Like over 20 years, it's not a big thing. It's not a short amount of time. There's been so many moments, but nothing is really ever guaranteed, right? We try our best to work on ourselves, work on the marriage and whatever, but even the best people talaga are not infallible. And the fact that actually I think it's a big deal for us na we admit those things that we're not perfect and we are capable of mistakes and we're all capable of that. Yung sabihin mo na hindi ko kayang gawin yan. Kaya mong gawin yan. Kaya mong gawin yan.
Really.
Everybody has that ability to really hurt somebody in the most painful way, to betray, to lie, to whatever it is, to be hurtful. Everybody has the capacity to make that mistake talaga. But the good part about your experience is that you did have a period of time where you were trying to rebuild yourself, di ba? Tapos parang naramdaman mo din yung moment na, alam mo, kaya ko to eh. Kaya
Yes.
ko na mag-isa. May plano ka na. Meron ka nang nakikita na, your potential and what is ahead of you. And that's very important in the separation, right? Kasi naramdaman mo na kaya mo. You didn't feel na, oh my God, mamamatay talaga ako pag wala tong taong to. And it,
Exactly.
it makes your marriage even richer. And even on her end, right? Even if like it's painful, alam niya, nakakayanin din niya. And when you bring that back into the marriage, na pareho kayo, you both have the ability to be independent people and make the most of it. When you come together, it becomes a choice. It becomes a choice. It becomes a daily commitment. It doesn't become an obligation and it doesn't become an act of desperation. Kasi you're deciding that, you know what, I'm fine without you, but you enrich my life so
Exactly.
much. Life is so much better with you. I want to experience the rest of my life with you, not because I can't do it on my own, but because it's just so much better and you can make that daily commitment to each other,
Exactly. So yun din
right?
maganda eh. We've always naman started that in the relationship eh, na parang kaya naman natin not together but we're just happier that we're together. So
Mhm.
let's see another year to and go on to our rebuilding and repairing process. But so
We'll give another
that's
update siguro sa 2 years later, di ba? Para siyang ongoing saga kung nandito pa tayo.
true. And then of course within the next year, of course our episodes, diba, we can add to that.
Yeah. Congratulations sa inyong effort together. And I'm very happy to see it. And I worry a little less about you,
I
but
know.
I know it's all good.
So now, of course, I've decided to give that chance. So the forgiveness part is already there. And of course, the next step really is the repair and rebuilding, diba? So this is actually the year. Taga meron pang ganun, ano, this year. Siguro I work well that way na parang may outline or something na para I wanna start a certain point. Para lang talagang, siguro for me, that my mental how I approach it mentally, parang may
Mm-hmm.
ganun,
Mm-hmm.
may order.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at least parang I think this is the year that, yun na.
Mm-hmm.
I really have to, you know, um, how to say it? Really do it, 'di ba? Parang hindi siya yung parang you have to really work on it eh. 'Di ba? It's not
Mhm.
something na hindi siya feeling eh. It's something you control. It's something you decide on. So I'm deciding to do it. So talagang focus on that. Kasi nga I said I'll forgive and give that chance, then I should work on it talaga.
Mhm.
Uh, and yun nga. But also it's on my own pace. So this year nga is rebuild and repairing. And when we say repair, it's the actual work of owning our mistakes with ourselves and our partner, and then mending the hurt we created by listening, understanding, and validating our partner's experience. So I think, um, in fairness naman talaga kay Karen, she's been
Mhm.
doing that. Yung listening part talaga. Of course, sometimes, syempre, what I like about her talaga is you see what you get talaga. So if she's frustrated, she'll tell me then that she's frustrated in what's happening, but she's understanding and she's hoping that I understand also of her frustration. So that's how we work eh. So the more we have those discussions, naisip ko talagang we're really a team eh. We've already built that eh. That's our dynamic na talaga eh. So with that, yun nga, yung repair part. So rebuilding naman, of course, is starting over,
Mhm.
means taking the time to deconstruct the old relationships, get
Mhm.
very clear on what caused it to weaken, fall apart, decide what needs to happen instead, moving forward, and put a plan in place to build a new relationship. Sabi naman niya na parang actually she couldn't understand what broke sa amin. Parang wala naman talaga. In her point talaga, it was a decision she made, which is wrong decision na ginawa niya. It was
Mhm.
just something that was in front of her and she decided to do that thing.
Mhm.
She was just vulnerable and
Mhm.
doing that decision,
Mhm.
which sabi naman niya there's really nothing wrong. That's why nga she's back eh. Na parang
Mhm.
this is what she really wanted eh. So, naman with her, I've always had that trust naman. Parang whatever she says naman, I would believe that. 'Di ba? But of course, syempre in my end, yun yung doubts ko eh. Yun
Mhm.
yung kailangan ko naman to help myself. Kasi syempre, pag, 'di ba, pag nawala isang tao, parang syempre sa utak mo, ayaw mo talaga sa akin. Umalis ka dahil ayaw mo sa akin. You don't want me. So in my head, it's in my head na parang you don't really want me. Why are you here? Parang yun
Mhm.
yung kailangan kong i-heal naman in my side for me to remove that doubt na this person really wants to be with me. I
Mhm.
have to believe in that again. Yun nga
Mhm.
yung gusto ko sa amin, di ba? Parang I told you, from last year na parang feeling ko equal kami, na walang mas
Mhm.
higit na nagmamahal sa isa compared to the other.
Mhm.
Gusto ko bumalik sa ganun and I don't want to remove that doubt that we both
Mhm.
love each other naman talaga.
Mhm.
So that's my part and I'm going through that right
Mhm.
now. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping
Mhm.
with the support of a lot of my friends, sobrang thank you that
Mhm.
actually more happy. I've had more happy feelings about us being together again. Which I like naman kasi sobrang nilang pinagsasabihan si Karen na parang gano'n, we're happy, ganyan, pero umayos ka, mga gano'ng stuff, nakakatuwa naman. So again, I'm happy for the
It's
positive reaction that we're working on it.
It's very interesting because, when you were going through this, you were sharing it with the people important to you, diba? So, of course, they're all looking out for you. And then now that you also made this decision, of course, people are still looking out for the both of you. And no one wants to see their friends or their loved ones hurting. So you tend to be a little more protective. But it is a process, and it's something that is necessary if you want to do it right. So many people go through this process without doing it right, and parang kalimutan na lang natin lahat and let's just get back to normal. Eh di ba wala namang normal na ngayon eh, right? Because it's kind of like your world turned upside down, right? You can't just put it like right back, like and pretend na you turned back the clock tapos walang nangyari. I think both of you have been changed like permanently. And when you come back together, then there's a lot of the parang figuring out nga like how you can do it better, and definitely the importance of accountability and also deconstructing the relationship, breaking down the habits and creating like a new pathway and dynamics, because a relationship is a system. Diba? That's what I learned in therapy. And my wife and I have been through similar instances where uh, we really believed that it was over, although we didn't have like a long physical separation. When we decided to still stay with each other, you really have to figure out how to do this better, because obviously the old way was not working. Sometimes you can't identify ano ba yung problema. But I think through communication, or if you seek help, or just also holding yourself accountable and just really, really reflecting, you can kind of piece together what brought you to that point and how to kind of navigate this new way without reverting to the old ways which got you in trouble in the first place. So many people get back together and don't change a thing, which it's uh it's really counterproductive, because if you already have a system, if you already got bad results and you know the cause of the bad results, how can you expect things to turn out differently if you don't correct the cause? You're just being hopeful na parang sana hindi na mangyari yun if you don't fix what was broken, or you don't try to do things better. There are so many habits and interaction styles in a relationship that you just learn living intimately with someone, and sometimes you can't pinpoint exactly what's wrong or what went wrong, right? But if you know that your actions were hurtful, and you know that you caused a lot of pain, and again, this is not something that you can realize if the other person won't share their feelings, di ba? Kung kunyari sabihin na lang din ng isa, kalimutan na natin, tas hindi na rin nag-share kung gaano kasakit yon, on the offending party, you don't really know exactly the damage that you did. So how can you try to avoid it if wala lang pala? 'Di ba? Parang, oh no, just pretend nothing ever happened. So I think if you don't make changes, you really are headed for the same outcome, because you didn't make any changes. It's the same as, again, we always liken a relationship to a company, where if you made a mistake the previous year and if you don't correct that mistake, you're bound to get the same results the following year. That's
Correct.
why parating may assessment, diba? And what are we gonna do differently? And then you learn, And even if, when you get back together, medyo may slight honeymoon stage yan kasi you're so happy to be together. But if you don't make the changes, really, it's gonna be a temporary relief if you don't make the necessary repairs, and we we've experienced this in relationships around us, older people, sometimes parents, different generation, who they don't discuss the problems and the mistakes, and you just keep going back to the same old hurtful dynamic that damages not only each other but damages also your family members. And so I think we have an edge being younger and being more kind of like in tune with our feelings, and we're braver in expressing them, so we can, voice out what we really need to happen, right? And for the people who have really trouble taking accountability and they don't want to admit their fault, parang gusto lang mag-sorry na tapos na, right? You have to understand that the other person cannot fully trust you again, because they will always be afraid of getting hurt if you, as the offending party, don't articulate exactly what you did wrong and really express in true remorse and already kind of like figure out paano ba nangyari yun? Bakit ba nangyari yun? Then you can, when you figure that out, then you can express to your partner now or to the person that you hurt that I know now what happened and so now I know how to stop it. But if you just say na, "Ay, hindi ko alam eh, it just happened to me." You know, like for example, like people, um, there are people na they had like an affair and then ang reasoning lang nila, hindi, ano lang ako, tinuksula lang ako. Right? Like parang completely washing your hands and absolving yourself and just saying na hindi, niloko lang ako nito, parang nilandi lang ako or something. And then, parang, okay, so if you don't admit fault and wrongdoing, how am I supposed to know that another person can't just come and maglande and then the same thing will happen again? So for the sake of the offended party, I think in order to really repair and rebuild, you need to be able to figure out what happened and how, come up with a resolution on how you're going to prevent it. Kasi kung hindi, parang ano pinopropose mo? More of the same? If it's more of the same, then the ending will be the same, right? This is such a long and challenging process. That's why people choose not to do it. People just choose na parang magkabalikan na lang tayo. Bahala na. Wag nang pag-usapan yun. Just kalimutan na lang natin lahat, right? And I think that's the difference between a healthy relationship and a toxic one. I'm not emphasizing longevity kasi there's so many long-term relationships that are truly, pardon my French, fucked up. Right?
Super.
Na parang they're together
Yes.
for, so many years, 50 years. It's
Decades.
completely messed up. They've damaged everybody around them, but they're still together. It's not something to applaud. It's not something that's positive. So no matter how short your relationship is, if you're really like taking it seriously and doing the work of communication, repair, rebuilding, accountability, I think you're better off. And you're personally, the two individuals are going to be healthier in mentally and also physically if you have that kind of communication at hindi ka parang forever kinikim-kim mo na lang yung hurt feelings mo, yung resentment mo, the fact that you haven't truly forgiven or you hate this person every day for hurting you, which happens, di ba? Kasi nga wala ngang repair at saka accountability and it's so hard to forgive and repair when the other person is like, just get over it. Sinabi ko na nga, hindi ko na nga gagawin ulit eh. Parang it's empty and you know it's empty, and aside from hating this person every day, you live in such fear and you can't build roots. You can't let your feelings take root again. Kasi alam mo na anytime it might be pulled away from you kung hindi mo talaga ma-reestablish yung trust na yon. You know, right? And so you can't skip it. If you really want to build something good, you really can't skip that part, and it's not something that's frequently talked about. And I think it's very good that we're discussing this kasi especially if you're younger and you haven't been in a lot of long-term relationships, I think the tendency is to believe na yung mga taong may relationship na naglalast, swerte lang sila. 'Di ba? Nakahanap sila ng partner nila and then swerte lang na tumagal. Yung pag ganun kasi parang napaka-abstract nung idea eh. And I felt this way when I was younger and I would meet somebody na nung time na nga na yun, parang 7 years lang sila magkasama. Pero ako parang, how does that happen? Ang swerte nyo naman, you must be a match made in heaven. But it's not even like that now that I know and I'm on the lola
Yes.
time na tayo, right? And we've built relationships. We've been in long-term relationships. You know that it's not suerte. It really is
Hard.
hard work. It is your constant like commitment and effort and everyday effort and revisiting. Kahit na kulitan level, parang your patience. Like even with me, na I've been with my wife for it's going to be 23 years. Every single day we recommit to this. Every single day it's like, do you love me? How much do you love me? And whatever. Parating ganun na parang kulit factor because that's like how you bond and how you confirm and reaffirm your commitment to each other every single day. And in this long relationship and marriage, I have to say that it's forced me to face myself, to face the ugly parts of myself, also question my partner's fundamental truths and behaviors. It's so hard to do that, di ba? Yung parang talagang kailangan ko question, parang bakit ba ganyan? Paano ba nangyari? Di ba yung and that's why you butt heads in a healthy relationship because you try to understand the other person. You just don't shrug it off and shoo them away and just say, bahala na. You come back when you feel better or something, diba? Madugo talaga siya. But guess what? I'm coming from the other end of it where I have to say that it's so worth it. The intimacy that you build after the proper repair and rebuilding, it's so priceless. You know, there's just this sense of fulfillment. It's good for you, it's good for your partner, and it's really good for the people around you. Pero promise, ang hirap talaga niya. The work never ends. It's really, marriage is not for the faint of heart. And that's why it's so rare to see, a healthy marriage. And even the healthiest marriage is constant effort and constant communication, and you get used to it, right? So,
It's really a decision
right?
that really it's not also like hindi na naman yung time na parang like what Kia said, it's ang tagal yun years eh. Even kayo eh, like what you were 5 years ago is so different when you are na after 10 years. Syempre, you both grow din, di
Yeah.
ba? What you like, yung patwitams nun, ayaw nyo lang ko ng ganon, di ba?
Yeah.
So it's really constant nga of reevaluation, 'di ba? It's not also like kailangan may maghihiwalay, babalik, hindi ganon. Like even the constant arguing, fighting, 'di ba? Changing of personalities, talagang revealing of oneself. You will just realize na because you're so comfortable, you're gonna reveal yourself slowly naman talaga, 'di ba? And then you might realize, oh, hindi ko to nakita nung nagsa-start tayo, 'di ba? And then now it's the discussion part, diba? It's, it's not even na maghiwalay kas babalik and then you have to fix it, rebuild it. It's not. It's a constant rebuilding. You will have your arguments. Um, yes, mahirap, but again, that's why nga you're gonna commit to that person. That's why that's the person you wanna marry. Because you found a common ground eh. Hindi dahil, shocks, ang ganda niya, ang sexy niya, siya yung, ang ganda na bagay kami. It's way beyond that, diba? It's
That's
really
true.
you're gonna live with that person for the rest of your life. When you wake
Yeah.
up, when you decide to do, it's not like you can just do something and not think of the other person. Every action, you have to think of your partner, diba? Unless may pag-usapan na talaga kayo. So, yes, what I learned a lot about marriage for the 9 years, sobra, syempre, this one was just like something out of nowhere. It was just something that just happened na hindi mo akalain mangyayari. But of course nga, yun eh. That something that bound us eh. Na parang, it's worth the another chance. Diba? Hindi ko sasabi one chance kasi nga pwede maging two chance, three chance. It's just another chance.
Another chance.
And it
So
doesn't work out.
basically,
It just doesn't work out, diba? And yun eh. Even when you don't need to have that separation to understand that you can be alive or you can be independent. You have to know that before you even commit. Diba? That's why yun yung maganda yung sinabi ni Kia. It enriches each other na if you're both super independent people that you don't need diba, the other half to make you whole because you're whole already, mas okay yun sa relationships. Kasi nga, it's a decision to stay. There's no other reason kundi I want to be with you. I'm happy with you. Although, as sabi, ang hirap gawin, hindi naman laging mahirap every day.
Mhm.
Diba? There are just
Ayun.
decisions on that day that you have to just decide the marriage and just choose the
Mhm.
marriage. Pero in the long run, you enjoy the quiet times that you can just sit down and just be quiet, but you feel ang sarap sa loob.
Mhm.
That's why,
Mhm.
yon. So that's why I like, parang di ako nag-second choice to be married. Diba? Kasi nga, dati, di ba, when we were in the Philippines, natin iniisip yun kasi parang walang pag-asa, di ba? Na parang
Ah,
wala yan. Doesn't really matter. But when you given that option that you can get married, parang wow. Never thought of that can be an option. So, 2024 has really taught me a lot about marriage and a different part of marriage kasi nga the whole time we were together, sobrang okay yung dynamic. So, this is the time that you will really know, okay nga ba talaga yung dynamic. So, yes. So, that's why giving this other chance.
so
Ikaw.
much to learn, so much
So
that
much
you've
to learn
learned, but
pa, di
also
ba?
so much. Akala mo kasi sometimes, marriage spoils you into thinking na okay na kayo, wala nang kailangan matutunan, but you really have to learn from each other constantly or else a life lesson will teach you that you need to learn. 'Di ba? Parang ganun kasi talaga, right? And I just feel like and you would never have caught me talking about marriage when I was younger because I really did not have any respect or like really kind of like any positive idea about marriage kasi wala talaga akong role models ng good happy marriage, so I had to just decide to build my own. So of course it comes with its hardships, but I always say na ang hirap-hirap-hirap, but marriage to me now, thinking about it, it is such a gift. If you take advantage of all the blessings that marriage brings us to provide you a companion in life, but also the other side of that is you have a companion in life who wants the best for you, who loves you. So they will always be holding up a mirror to you and asking you, is this the best person you can be? Or can you do better? And they're with you every step of the way to hold you accountable. If you like decide that, oh, I'm going to promise, I'm going to do better, I'm going to break this habit, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to take care of my health. If someone loves you, they're married to you, or they're in a relationship with you, they're not going to let you drop the promises you made to yourself, right? Because they know it's for your own good. So they're constantly para siyang you're like a boxer and then your coach is always like, no, you have to do this and you have to do this training and all this and you have your nutrition and whatever because they want the best for you. And when you work through your differences and you work on yourself to become a better partner, it just becomes marriage becomes a gift because it's like a journey, not just about loving each other, but towards yourself also, because it really entails a lot of self reflection, working on your own hangups, your triggers, your past, your traumas, right? As you go through marriage, versus in the beginning of dating, yung binanggit mo kanina na, oh, I like this person kasi ang ganda niya. Gusto ko siyang kasama parate kasi parang ang pogi ko kasi ang ganda niya. How many months pa lang yata? Wala pa yatang years. Do you realize na that does not hold water? Right?
No.
It cannot carry anything. Looks and parang your ego and how you feel because cute yung kasama mo. Like, of course, it's nice to look at someone good looking. And if you're like, you have a passion for that person and you're turned on, but it cannot hold water in a relationship eh. May talagang what we seek and what we need in relationships really goes so much beyond the physical because it's like the deepest parts of us and parang the best efforts you need from that person that has nothing to do with looks or status or ego. And when we don't ask each other anymore, ano ba yung makukuha ko sa taong to? Right? Like you don't ask that anymore. You just ask like, what does this relationship contribute to my growth. Yung ano mang makukuha ko dito sa taon to in the respect of like, paano ko ikabubuti, yung being with this person. Saka, bumabait ba ako? Do I become more peaceful? These are the things that you look at now. Hindi na yung mga self-serving na, ay hindi kasi pinagluluto ako or mabait lang sa akin talaga. You start to think about how this person really enriches my life, makes you a better person, makes you happier, makes you healthier because you're more at peace with yourself. And so if you actually ask yourself those questions, you can quickly see if a relationship is no longer good for you. Kasi kung if the qualities of that person, even if like, alam mo, maganda pa rin siya, pero parang anong ginagawa mo para, so that, what does this relationship do so that I become a better person? If you can't answer that question, bakit pa kayong nagsama kung hindi naman kayo, like we mentioned earlier, if you're not enriched by the other person's company, if you don't become a better, kinder person, if it doesn't put you at ease, you don't become more peaceful, you're not, braver in addressing your traumas, and also standing up to your enemies or establishing boundaries, because that's what a partner will do. A good partner will actually not let anybody walk all over you. 'Di ba?
Yeah.
Minsan nga mga away ganyan pa eh. Parang pakialam mo ba problema ko naman to, so ako na mag-handle ng taong to. And the other person will be like, I am not gonna allow that person to hurt you and to walk all over you. So yung mga ganun, 'di ba? And that's how you know you're with someone special, because they will defend you and they will not let anybody also hurt you. So how nice is that, right? So it's interesting as we grow older, and I'm trying to reflect on these things all the time when I'm thinking about the difference in a maturing love. Kasi sa umpisa, parang in the first half, you always think of, what can I get?
Mhm.
What can I get from this person? And then you tend to see your relationship as parang transactional siya eh. Anong ginagawa mo for me? And then ano yung magagawa ko for you? And
Yeah.
then later on, parang, then you start to realize, how have I changed because this is my partner?
Yeah.
Am I braver, stronger? Am I happier? Do I see things positively? Am I a kinder person? Yun na yung titignan mo eh, na parang really the enriching things. And then you begin to tap into the real benefits of the relationship and not just what the other person can give. 'Di ba?
Yeah.
You know?
Super. It's the intangibles na eh,
Mhm.
actually, di ba? Na parang exactly what Kia said. The person, although I'm sure you've heard this, the person that can bring out the best in you, yun. If that person's bringing out the worst in you,
Yeah.
you really, really have to think about it, diba? When you start, being violent, abusive, you start to, say bad words, or
Mhm.
you start to be not you, diba? And that's when you want to think about the relationship. But with this person, you become braver. Yeah, I should attest to that, na parang hindi ako natatakot kung saan kami mapulot, basta magkasama kami, I think we're gonna be
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
Parang ganon. Wherever we go, if doesn't work in this country, we'll move
Mhm.
to another country, I know we'll be okay.
Mhm.
Yung ganong feeling na when you're together, yung nga, yung may teamwork kayo, when you're together, na parang you can overcome anything. Pag may problema, kakayanin yung
Mhm.
dalawa. You know that the other person won't leave you
Mhm.
behind to do the hard
Mhm.
things. Magkasama kayo lagi. So, exactly. Yun naman alam ko naman for the past 9 years, yun yung meron namin, diba? And then something just happened na parang, wait, hindi lang siya dapat itapon ng ganon. Um, so, that's why I'm giving that chance again. And hopefully, we come out stronger, better, and it's more exciting than yun naman talaga yung plans naman namin for the longest time naman talaga is just to enjoy the remainder. You never know eh, di ba? You're
Mhm.
at that age right now, ang dami na
Mhm.
talaga nangyayari and it's just so sad with all the people close to your passing and it's really thinking about, you know what? We never know really
And
until when, di
right, and
ba?
how much time do we really have left, right?
Yes,
So when we think about it, natatawa nga ako kasi, do you know, like, yun yung pag nagto-toast, pag nagiinuman, pag nagto-toast kayo, di ba, kailangan, you have to make eye contact daw with the person you're toasting because otherwise, it's 7 years daw of bad sex. So, so, di pag nagto-toast na ganyan, tapos merong magsasabi nun, eye contact or else you have 7 years of bad sex. Sabi ko, wait lang, are you promising me that I'm going to live for 7 more years? Because I'm taking
pa?
so you don't know anymore, right? And you just want to make the most of it. And that's why you really have a really like a different appreciation of relationships and marriage when you're in middle age, right?
That's so true, di ba? And at that point, at this point, kung gaano na kayo katagal, whether nga short or not, if you meet that person that with that nice bond, you'll be able to understand already the little things. And you, again, we've always talked about that forever. Communication is key. If you have that key, then it will open to a lot of opportunity, no, a lot of nice
Mhm.
experiences, diba?
Yeah.
So let's see how this goes. 2025 is something to look forward to. And
Mhm.
again, we'll see again next year. Find again what love is or other Valentine's
Yeah.
and right?
And I think that there's so many people rooting for you now because they're watching you on this journey, right? And also hearing about this also like latest development and what you're learning and what you guys are both going through. I think it's not a small thing and it's really something to think about and really uh, a chance to learn so much more about yourself and about each other.
On my end also, I was like, I really wanted to make sure na I'm sure that I'm gonna give that chance. Ang tagal ko bago sinabi to my closest friends, my family.
Mm-hmm.
It took me really to go
Yeah.
back to really tell everyone and me telling everyone was just my sign na parang ito na yon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
deciding to give this chance and working this out talaga.
Well,
Yeah.
congratulations. And
Thank
so
you.
we are so happy for the both of you. Despite the challenges and the effort and the the sad days and the sad times, but also I can already see how happy it's made you to parang look forward into the future with this with someone that you really really loved and still love.
Super. Yes, that's also bottom line. At the end of it talagang yes, 'di ba? Hindi naman mawawala yun eh.
Mm-hmm.
So, mahal mo
Yeah. Yeah. So for
yeah.
me, like the when I think about love, I really think that you really have to give it everything that you have or don't bother. Kasi not just because your relationship will not go well, but it you're not reaping the full blessings and benefits of a relationship if you don't give it your full effort, if you don't really look inward and reflect and also fight your own demons and become a better person. You're not maximizing everything that you can gain from something such as relationship and marriage. How about you? Do you have any final words for our listeners?
So with that, if you really commit to marriage or just giving that commitment that you will be with this person na mag-live-in kayo, you really have to commit. 'Di ba? That's the word talaga eh, na you've decided, you've thought about it because a lot of things will happen along the way. So many things that you have to decide will you still be in it, 'di ba?
Mhm.
Exactly. If you don't give your 100%, then don't go into it. And before you give 100%, get to know that person talaga and you can decide na because it's gonna be a waste of time, 'di ba?
Mhm.
Maybe if it's not that person, there would be really that person who will make you feel that commitment that you want to be. It's not just because ay shucks, ang cute nito, we have the same interest in this, diba? There's so much to it. So before you decide, it's really a decision. Hindi siya bahala na, diba? Gusto naman niya ako eh. It doesn't work that way, diba? It's not about just love. It's more than that. So with that, there's gonna be a lot of ups and downs, but it's worth it. It's worth the effort.
Yay, yes. So
Happy Valentine's. I
happy
hope you're enjoying
Valentine's,
your
everyone. I
Valentine's.
hope you're having a nice celebration and I hope you enjoyed our What is Love 1 Year Later episode for today.
Yes, and with that, another episode of Salt and Pepe Podcast. I hope you enjoy this and
Thanks for listening.
see you next
See you
time.
next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for letting us spice up your day.
Keep on listening to Salt and Pepe Podcast.
Konting alat
Konting anghang.
and Pepe all around.
This has been Leah.
And Shakira.
See you next time.